Hello guys, so in my previous video I created this count function, and in this video I am going to show you how to add nodes in between nodes of a linked list. Now if you know how to add nodes at the beginning and at the end of the list, or if you watched my earlier videos on how to add nodes at the beginning or at the end of the list, then learning this is going to be easy for you. Now adding nodes in between can be divided into two parts. First, adding a node after a given node. Now if the user chooses to add a node after this node, then a new node will be added here between these two nodes. And adding a node before a node means that if the user chooses to add a node before this node, then a new node will be added here between these two nodes. So either way, a new node will be added in between. Now two separate functions will be used to add a node after and before a node. So first I am going to show you how to add a node after a node. Here I have declared the function, and the name of my function is addAfter, and it takes three arguments: start and num as usual. Num is the number which you want to store in the node, and num2 is the number after which to add the node. Now suppose this is the linked list and the user enters 15 as num2, then a node will be added after this node between these two nodes. Now this printf statement will display a message to the user that enter 7 to add after. Now case 7. Now this scanf statement will allow you to enter a number which you want to store in the node, and this scanf statement will allow you to enter a number after which to add or insert a node. So suppose this is the linked list, and if the user enters 15 as num2, then 15 means this node, so a new node will be added after this node here between these two nodes. I must declare num2 in the main function. Now this is the function call, and this addAfter function will be called with three values: start, num and num2. Now I am going to define or create this addAfter function. So here I have declared two pointer variables temp and p, and assigned p the value of start. Now all this code is responsible for adding a node after a particular node. Now let's say the user enters 15 as num2, and suppose this is the linked list, so a new node will be added after this node. Now initially p will be assigned the value of start, and start always stores the address of the first node, so p means first node. Now this while condition will be true because p is not equal to null, and if this while condition is true, then this if condition will be checked. Now p info means info part of this node, which is 5, and info part of this node is not equal to num2 because num2 is 15 entered by the user. So if this if condition is false, then all this code will not get executed and the control will move to this statement. Now this statement will move us to the next node because plink means link part of this node, which is always the address of the next node, which is 1007 according to this example. So the address of the next node will be assigned to p. So p is now storing the address of this node, so p means this node. Now again this while condition will be checked, and This time also P is not equal to null because P is equal to 1007. So this while condition is true, so this if condition will be checked. Now P info means info part of this node, which is 15. So info part of this node is equal to num2 entered by the user. So this if statement is true. So if this if statement is true, then all this code to add a node will get executed. So the aim of this if statement is to find the node after which to add a new node, as you have seen in this example. And this while loop and this statement will move P to the next node, will move us to the next node each time this while loop runs. So this if statement is true, the node has been found. Now this malloc function will allocate memory for the new node, and the address of that memory location or node will be assigned to temp. So temp will store the address of the new node. Now temp info means info part of this node, of the new node. And temp info will be assigned value of num. Now suppose the value of num is 55 entered by the user. So 55 will be assigned to temp info. So 55 will be stored in the node. Now these two statements. To add this node, after this node, here two things should be done. First, the link part of this node should store the address of its next node, which is this, and the link part of this node should store the address of its next node, which is this. So temp link means link part of this node, and link part of this node will be assigned plink, and plink means link part of this node, which is the address of this node, which according to this example is 1009. So 1009 will be assigned to temp link. Now plink means link part of this node, and link part of this node will be assigned temp, and temp means temp stores the address of this node, the new node, and suppose the address of this node is 7009, then 7009 will be assigned to plink. So a new node after this node between these two nodes has been added. Now everything is done, so I want to move out of this add after function. So this return statement will move the control out of this add after function. Now if the user enters num2 and that value is not present in any of the nodes, then number not present in the list will be printed. So if the user enters 100 as the number and 100 is not present here, so this while loop will execute till the end, and this if condition will never be true. This if statement will always be false. So when P will be at the last node, then P link will mean link part of this node, which is null. So null will be assigned to P, and then this while loop will become false because P will be equal to null. So this while loop will be terminated, and the control will move to this statement, and not present in the list will be printed. So this is the end of this function. Now let me add some nodes. So this is the linked list, and suppose I want to add a node after 55. So enter 7 to add after. Enter the number to be inserted, 19, and enter the number after which to insert. I want to insert after 55. So 55. So a node has been inserted after 55, this 19. So this was about how to add a node after a node. And now I will show you how to add a node before a node. Like suppose the user wants to add a node before this node, then a new node will be added here. Before this node, between these two nodes. Here I have declared the function and the name of my function is addBefore and it is of type struct node pointer, and you will come to know in a while that why I have declared this function of type struct node pointer. And this num2 is the number before which to add a new node, and everything else is the same. This printf statement will display this message to the user. And now case 8. Here num2 is the number before which to add a new node, and it will be entered by the user. And this is the function call, and this add before function is not of type void, so it will return some value and that value will be assigned to start. And now I am going to define this add before function. Here I have declared two pointer variables. Now suppose this is the linked list and the user enters 5 as num2. The user enters 5 as num2. Then a node will be added before this node here at the start. So this case needs to be handled separately when the node is added at the beginning. Now this if statement will check if the node is to be added before the first node. Now start always stores the address of the first node. So start info means info part of the first node, which is 5. And if info part of this node of the first node is equal to the value of num2 entered by the user, then this if condition will become true and a new node will be added before this node at the start. So the same code which I used to add a node at the beginning of the list will be used. This is the function to add a node at the beginning of the list. This should be temp. So if this if condition becomes true, then all this code will get executed. This you already know, memory will be allocated for the new node and temp will store the address of the new node. Temp info will be assigned the value of num. Suppose the value of num is 15 entered by the user, then 15 will go here. Now the link part of this node should store the address of its next node, which is this, and start should store the address of the first node, and this should now be the first node in the list. And all this will be done with the help of these two statements. Now temp link means link part of this node, and link part of this node will be assigned the value of start, and start is storing the address of this node, the first node, which is 1002 according to this example. Now suppose the address of this node is 9002, then start will be assigned the value of temp, and temp is storing the address of this node. So start will now store the address of the new node. Now adding a node before the first node will change the value of start. So start should be returned to the main function so that in the main function the value of start is updated. That's why this function is of type struct node pointer so that it can return the value of start. So in this way a new node will be added before the first node. Now if the node is to be added before any node other than the first node, like suppose this is the linked list and the user enters 25 as num2, then a new node should be added before this node here. Now this while loop and this if statement will be used. Initially p will be equal to start, p will be here, and this while loop and this statement will move p from one node to the next each time this while loop runs, and every time this while loop is true, this if statement will be checked. Now p link means link part of this node, and it is not equal to null, so this while condition is true, so this if statement will be checked. Now what does this p arrow operator link arrow operator info means? Now p link means link part of this node, which is the address of the next node, which according to this example is 1004, and arrow operator info means info part of this node, because p link is always the address of the next node. And what is the info part of that next node? It is this. So this whole thing always means info part of the next node. Now the value of num2 is 25 entered by the user. So the info part of the next node, which is 10, is not equal to the number entered by the user. So this if condition is false, so the control will move to this statement and the address of the next node will be assigned to p. So p will now store the address of this node. Now again this p link is not equal to null, so this while condition is true. This if statement will be checked. Now the info part of the next node, which is 15, is not equal to num2, so this if condition is false, so the address of the next node will be assigned to p, so p will now store the address of this node. Now again p link is not equal to null, so this while condition is true. Now this if statement will be checked. Now the info part of the next node is 25, which is equal to the value of num2 entered by the user. So this if condition is true, so all the code here will be executed. Now the aim of this if condition is to search the node before which to add a new node and stop p just before the node before which to add a new node. Now here is the trick. Now I can use the same code that I used to add a node after a node, and I can add a node after this node here, and it would mean the same thing as adding a node before this node. And the user has entered 25, the user wants to add a node before this node. So I can use the same code that I used to add a node after a node. Now if this if statement is true, then p will stop just before the node before which to add a new node. And with the help of this code, a new node will be added after the node where p is, and it would mean the same thing as adding a node before this node. I should assign p the value of start here. Now if the user enters num2 and that number is not present in any of the nodes, then this printf statement should print number not present in the list and return start, because this function is not of type void, so this function should return some value. So this is the end of this function. So this is the list, and suppose I want to add a node before this 6. So enter the number to be inserted, 25, and enter the number before which to insert. Now 6. So 25 has been added before 6. So this was all about adding a node in between. And my next video will be the last video on linked list, and it will be on how to reverse a linked list. So that's all for now, and thanks for watching.